It's picking winners, where all we do on this show is pick winners with Keg and Mangone. I'm Holden. Here's the games we're going through. We do 7 games, including the Thursday night game this week. We're going to start with the Colts and the Bills, move on to the Packers and Vikings, the game du jour of the Cowboys, Chiefs, Bengals, Raiders, Cards, Seahawks. We'll see if Kyler Murray plays in that game. And then the Eagles and the Saints. So that's what we got on the docket here. Want to remind everybody, hit the like button and the little red subscribe button down there. Our code is still RPS Heater 25% off your first payment on a monthly installment. Kegger, hello. I know you've been a busy man. It's wonderful to see your shiny face again. And what's happening?
What's going on, buddy? Good to be back with you guys. Wasn't here last week, but we're here. Everything's going well. Picking winners.
Picking winners. That's all we do. Mangone looking for a haircut. He's going to get that. He's got a beautiful background behind him. Look, he's probably in his kitchen still, but he doesn't have the whole prison look anymore. You look sensational, Mangone.
Yeah, you'll just never know what's behind me now anymore. But the backdrop looks good. You'll know when I'm on the Run Pure Bet show with Spread when we got StreamYard up. That's when you can find out. So if you really want to know, check me out on Tuesdays with Spread on the Run Pure Bets channel doing some NBA stuff. He does it every single day. 3:30 Eastern is typically the time when he does it.
Big fan of the spread. Big fan of the spread as well. But we got Kegger, the big man from the betting side. Let's not screw around here, Kegger, and get into our first game. The Colts and the Bills. The Bills busted out the whooping stick after looking like garbage for 2 straight weeks. Here's where this line stands right now. Colts +7. Obviously, Bills -7. The total here is between 50 and 50.5. Boy, Kegger, this Bills defense is something special, man, because even when they were not playing well, they were still playing well. The defense was playing well. It was the offense that struggled. Where are the Bills right now, and what do you make of this spread?
Yeah, the Bills defense has been a revelation this year compared to how awful they were last year. No doubt. I guess I'll start with the Colts. They are one of the most inconsistent teams from week to week, I think, currently in the league. They're barely consistent from quarter to quarter. They were up, I think, they put up 17 points in the first quarter of last game against the Jags. And then, what we saw, the remaining 48 minutes was awful. It's just a ton of inconsistency, which it would only net that Wentz offense with something like, I don't know, what did they score? 7 points the last 3 quarters of that game? I don't know. Luckily, they were playing a team like the Jaguars last week where it didn't come back to bite them, but they're going to need to be somewhat consistent if they're going to hang in these games against good teams like the Buffalo Bills. The Colts are what we said they are all year. They're an average football team. They're no better. Now, yeah, it was good to see the Bills get back on track last week against a horrific team like the New York Jets. But you had to figure after the egg that they laid 2 weeks ago against the Jaguars, they would come out with a sense of urgency against the Jets. And that's exactly what they did. Now, also, I knew that the Bills would be better on defense this season. But like you said, I didn't realize that they would be that good. They look like the defense from 2 years ago when they were a top 5 defense. And then they just fell off a cliff last year, but they're back in a big way. They're currently right now the best defense in football, I think. So as far as the spread, we haven't seen a ton of movement from last week's look-ahead line. Going into last week, the line was 6.5. Right now, it's sitting at 7. Do I think that the Bills are a touchdown better at home against this Colts team? I do, when you consider how good the defense is. That said, am I running to the window to lay a touchdown against the Colts this week? Not really. I lean that the Bills cover, but I think the margin of error is pretty thin in terms of value in that line. I saw a couple 6.5s out there. If you can find that, I don't mind laying the 6.5. If your book has 7, I would say pass the side this week. As far as the totals in general this season are down multiple points per game from a year ago. And at 50, this total seems about right. But because this Buffalo defense has been so good this year, I'll lean under the 50 here. But other than that, that's all I got.
Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. So you're leaning under the 50. Man, going from a DFS side, there's just so much firepower here. Jonathan Taylor, who to me right now is the RB1 in DFS. Diggs finally waking up. Pittman has got to be in the mix too. You've got some secondary pieces. And then Josh Allen maybe in cash. Carson Wentz at 5.5 this week coming off against that game against Jacksonville. Can we start with Wentz here? 5.5. I mean, I don't like the matchup, but I love the price for a guy whose floor should be a lot higher than that 7 points he put up last week.
Yeah, before I dig into the DFS, I do want to mention betting-wise, Keg, one thing to watch with the Bills is when Matt Milano is in and out, right? Matt Milano has been one of the bigger pieces on that defense. If you look last year, Keg, I was trying to remember because I remember looking at that all the time. And the Bills last year, Matt Milano, he played in 10 games. All of them were wins, right? The Bills went 13-3 last year. So they went 3-3 without him. He's just a big part of that defense. So I think that's obviously been part of it. The offense has been the struggle this year, though, like you said at the start, Holden. I mean, the offense has not been as great as you would hope. Obviously, life's about expectations, and you expect greatness from this offense. You expect greatness from Josh Allen. He hasn't been that bad, but he has definitely not been what you would hope. He looked a little bit better, obviously, last week. Josh Allen is going to be someone in DFS we consider paying up for. The flip side of it is, are you going to pay for Josh Allen, or are you just going to go to the 55.5 total and play a cheaper Pat Mahomes or Dak Prescott? That's really the question on this slate. I do think this Bills team is to be able to get the job done at home when it comes to putting up DFS points. I think Stephon Diggs is going to be someone that you can go back to. Sanders, Beasley, you can make a case that Dawson Knox could easily get some work. They're mixing in all these different running backs. My issue with this Bills team is I think they're fine. You could take shots on them. I don't want to play the guessing game with these guys. That's one of my issues I have. I do wonder what the Colts are going to do. Are the Colts going to just try and pound the rock with Jonathan Taylor and really try and control the game? If they can't and they're trailing, Carson Wentz at 5.5 is someone who you're going to have to consider. I mean, he's going to be throwing the ball a bunch, Holden. So I don't think Carson Wentz to like a Pittman stack and then like ran back with a Diggs is like a crazy idea. I think it's something that you can definitely do on this slate. It's just, I worry with this game of trying to figure out what's going to be the right way to go. Of course, Jonathan Taylor is a great DFS option. He's someone that I feel like is going to be like Derrick Henry to close out the year, someone that you're just going to want to play almost every single week. And the way running backs are set up right now, at least the way the salaries are set up on DraftKings, Jonathan Taylor's price should be way higher. They just, for some reason, have capped a lot of running backs. Like Christian McCaffrey should be like 10K, or Jonathan Taylor should be like 9.5. But the prices are not going up that much the way the algorithm is built. So you feel like you are getting a bit of a discount on Jonathan Taylor. The problem is the game script is not the best. That is one of the concerns here. So I know I've talked in circles a little bit, Holden. I think there are good DFS plays here, but I think you have to set it up for your script. I think if you do play like a Josh Allen, the Diggs stack, run it back with a Michael Pittman. If you do play a Jonathan Taylor, you better be sure to run it back with one of these Bills receivers. And it's definitely a tough game to read for sure, because again, 50 total, and the Colts, they're a team that like the ground and pound it, but they're 7-point dogs on the road. So not the easiest game to predict on this slate, but there are some good DFS options that you should be considering.
Okay. Want to remind everybody, RPS Heater 25% off your first payment on a monthly subscription. While we're on that, Keg, what do they get when they get to the bet side of things?
We have a ton of content on the bet side every day. We have daily picks. We have a live betting show that we do 30 hours a week. So, $60 a month, $20 a week. You could use promo code BETS25 off, and it'll get you 25% off your first week or month. If you have the DFS package and you want to add the bets package on, you could just use the code GETBETS for your first bet side month free.
Love it. Also want to talk about some of the winners on the DFS side. There are a lot of them. Members never win, of course, right? Well, how about our member Parabay? Love the Parabay. 5K in the NFL he won. Eddie DT88, 5K in the NFL Showdown. Our Showdown content has been smashing, and you get that with the sports package. B Money, 20K in the NFL. Barbecue winner, BBQ winner, 50K. It was a winner for 50K NBA, Trober 6, $67,000. NBA season, it's here. Let's go. RPS Heater 25% off your first monthly installment. Let's get to this next game you want to talk about, Kegger, and that would be the Packers and the Vikings. This is some interesting news, though, because the secondary could get a big boost this week for Minnesota. Patrick Peterson off of IR. He's practicing. Harrison Smith, who is on the sidelines with COVID, he's been cleared to return. Let's just play the what-if game. If Peterson and Smith are back this week, obviously this awful Vikings defense gets a massive boost. How much does that matter as far as the analysis you've already put into this game? And by the way, the line, Packers -2.5 on the road, total 49.5, Kegger.
Yeah, I mean, I think it matters a lot. I'm already leaning the Minnesota side anyway. Ooh. I wish I was a fan of the Green Bay Packers like Travis is, because I think that they are the best team in the NFC right now. Yes, the Bucs are human this year. The Rams look lost the last 3 weeks. The Cardinals are rolling. All these teams will have the opportunity to make noise in January. But on November 17th, I think that the Packers are the best team in the NFC and probably the entire league right now. I was on the Packers -3 last week. We gave it out to subs in the Discord once I realized that Rodgers was going to start. And the final score, which was 17-0, didn't really tell the tale, I think, of how dominant the Packers really were last week. Now, granted, the offense didn't look phenomenal by any means, but I'll give that a pass. Rodgers wasn't able to practice with the team for almost 2 weeks. He missed a game. But the defense, which was way below average last year, is playing like a top 10 defense this season. And, the Seahawks had such good field position in that game, drive after drive. And the fact that they were held to 0 points, 200 yards of total offense, 3.5 yards per play with Russell Wilson under center, that's impressive to me. Now, you can make the argument that Wilson was out for a month. He was rusty. That's fine. But this Packers defense has looked good all year to me. If they continue to play this good, they deserve to be the odds-on favorite, in my opinion, to win the chip going into the playoffs. Now, Minnesota did what every team does to me, Kush, when they play the Chargers. They fuck me up and cost me money. Okay? If I'm betting a Chargers game, I'm losing money. The Vikings just happen to be the latest to do it, right? They played well against the Chargers. I do think that it's time for everybody to slow down the hype train on the Chargers now. But in general, I like this Vikings team. I've said for 8 weeks on this show, the Vikings are better than their record is right now. They are not playing, in my opinion, like a 4-5 football team. They've played winning football over this season, and the analytics bear that out. This Vikings team should be closer to 6-3, not 4-5. And if that's the case, what would the line be in this game if their record was as good as their gameplay on the field? And that's been the difficult question to answer this week. So as far as the spread, I thought all week that we were going to get to 3, but with this cornerback news, that might keep this line. If both those corners come back, that could keep this line from getting to 3. But I've been waiting to see if it could get to 3. Right now, they're at 2.5. I'm going to wait and hope Minnesota gets to 3. If the line moves, I definitely lean Vikings +3 here in a division game. And let's remember, historically, Aaron Rodgers is a 500 quarterback lifetime in Minnesota. And there's already built-in value on the Vikings because their win share is much better than their record indicates. So once this line moves to 3, if it does, I like the Vikings. As far as the total, 49 feels light to me. Despite both teams having strong defenses, I could see them going up and down the field here. So slight lean to the over, but in my opinion, the better play, if it gets to 3, Vikings +3.
Okay. Would you buy the half point if it doesn't get to 3?
Probably not.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad I asked the question because you would say, no, don't do it. Don't run to that. So Mr. Mangone, as long as we're talking about the Vikings and the Packers. I guess you just start with the wide receivers to me, and then you can go take it from there. Adams and Jefferson. Adams is 8-4 on DK. Jefferson is 8-1 on DraftKings, and on FanDuel, 7.9 for Jefferson, 8-4 for Adams. What do you want to do here with these two studs?
Yeah, I mean, for me, with Aaron Jones not being there, possibly, Davonte Adams is clearly the guy over Jefferson. I would say ownership obviously matters. Jefferson and Thielen, both great plays. I mean, if you look, they both absolutely crush every single year. I mean, the one thing I like about this stack when it comes to tournaments is the guessing game is not too hard, right? You know, you don't have to deal with, hey, let me pick from the Bills. Who's catching the touchdown? I don't know. It could be Matt Breida. Sure, CJ Ham could catch one. It happened last week, but it does feel like the targets are a bit more condensed over on the Vikings than it is some teams. So it makes stacking a little bit easier. I do think it's not a bad one to stack. You could easily play Aaron Rodgers, Davonte Adams, ran back with Jefferson, Thielen, call it a day. You can go with the opposite side, Kirk Cousins, Jefferson, and Thielen, and run it back with Davonte Adams. I don't mind that. Or you can make it where it's Cousins, Jefferson, and like A.J. Dillon, because A.J. Dillon is going to get a lot of work here if there's no Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon is going to be someone that's on my radar in cash games and tournaments, and someone that I'm definitely considering a lot in DFS this week and could be one of the chalkier options on this slate. One of my fears, and it's good to hear that Keg is on the over, but I worry this game could get a little tight towards the end of the game. I could see it being like, I don't know, 17-14, or see it being like 20-17. And like both teams are just kind of trying to keep the other offense off the field and play a little bit of ball control. So that is one of the fears I have. Sometimes those division games can get like that, but game is in a dome. That's obviously very encouraging for these teams and can be good for the game. So I think this is a good one to get exposure to within your tournament stacks. In cash games, I think you're going to want to look at the Packers side more than the Vikings side, because A.J. Dillon and Adams just have such a condensed amount of volume that's going their way. And then it's harder to pay the price tag on Jefferson and Thielen compared to some other options on the slate, but they feel like better tournament options. And don't sleep on Dalvin Cook. 8.4K for him. Definitely a good option you can go to. I know Title's been talking about how the Packers defense looks better, and I do think it looks a lot better, and they're definitely a better team, but this is a 49 total in tournaments. I don't think you want to sleep on this game completely, even though there are some better games on this slate.
All right, let's move on to our next game that we're going to talk about, and it's the big one. Let's talk some Cowboys and Chiefs. I don't think I need any intro for this one, do I, Keg? This is the sexy matchup at 4:25 Eastern. Cowboys, I see them at +3, mostly at +2.5 on the road at Kansas City. 55.5, 56, 56.5 I'm seeing at one place as well. So to me, the question you got to ask yourself is, do you buy into the Chiefs offense after the Raiders decided to think that they could just play cover 3 and not do anything that anybody else has done and shown success? That's my question, Keg.
That's the big question this week, and this is definitely the premier game of the week. I can't wait to watch this game. You know, you always want to see good teams respond to flash spots and letdowns. Mm-hmm. That's what the elite teams tend to do in the NFL. That's exactly what the Dallas Cowboys did last week after the worst game that they've had all year versus the Broncos the week prior. They dominated every facet of the game last week against the Falcons. But did we expect anything less? Not really. I think this is one of the 4 best teams in the NFC right now, and they did what they needed to do. Now, the Chiefs, they surprised me a little. One of my only losses last week was taking the +3 with the Raiders at home, and I thought that they would look much better than they did against the Chiefs. But this was a vintage Kansas City performance. Probably the first time that we've seen this team look like this all season. Offense was humming, 500+ yards, 7 yards in play. Mahomes, 5 touchdowns, no picks. So I guess the Chiefs were bound to have a normal game after how bad that they looked the first 9 weeks, both outright and against the spread. And it finally came last week. But the big question for this team is, was this an anomaly? Or are the Chiefs heading into December on the right track? And are they going to be the team that we're used to seeing? Personally, I have to see this version of Kansas City for more than 1 week in order for me to buy in. So as far as the spread, I like the boys here. I think the boys +3 is solid. I think they're fully capable of winning this game. They have the offense to hang with the Chiefs. They have a much better defense than the Chiefs, and I think they're capable of winning this game. So I'll take the 3 here with Dallas. If you don't want to go that route, I do think, Dallas's team total last I saw was like 27. Gun to my head, do I think they get over 27? I do. Yeah, I do. But I think +3 is the play.
Is that a show bet?
Yeah.
I'm betting now.
I'm going to be on it for sure.
All right, -3 or +3 -115.
Yep. And as far as the total, 56 is a high nut, man. So I'll probably stay away from that. But I like the boys here.
Okay, good. I like the pick. I just put the bet in. Dallas +3 -115. We'll see. I don't know how that's really going to move too much. We got to talk about 2 public teams and then super team there with the Cowboys. Mangone, I'll just ask you the same question. Are you buying the Chiefs offense now after that performance against the Raiders, or is it still up for debate, especially this week in DFS?
Yeah, this is an interesting game to talk about. So, Keg, a couple things. One, what do you think of Smith's status for Sunday, especially with the Thursday Thanksgiving game looming? That obviously could keep him out on Sunday just because they might say, hey, we don't want to risk you. You want to plan on that main stage on Thursday, right? Even though this Chiefs game is kind of big, Jerry wants his big Thanksgiving win, of course. So do they hold Smith out is my question. And then on the flip side, that defense, which you and I have talked about how it was absolutely horrific to start the year, they made a move. They got Ingram from the Steelers. Do you think that was a big enough move that's been part of the difference so far?
I think the defense looked much better against the Raiders. I think it's probably too soon to tell. They were so bad. I don't think one player is going to make the difference to really flip this defense around like that. As far as Smith, I think you bring up a fair point. I don't really know if they keep him out. I think he's going to play. I don't know. You could be right, though. That's a fair
I wouldn't want to wager on this game without knowing his status. That's just me personally, right? I value him more than others. Also, last week, sure, yes, it was the perfect bounce back spot. But I just have some fears without knowing his status for this game, placing a wager. That's just me, though. I value offensive lines a ton. Maybe I overvalue it at times, but that's just where I'm looking at. I do think that I lean the Chiefs right now in this one because I do think the defense, the way that it's played, they are okay giving up some smaller yardage stuff. And I think the Chiefs are like kind of leaning into that. Like, okay, like we'll take all the short yardage stuff. And I think it kind of is playing into the hands of what the Chiefs are trying to adapt and get better at. So I lean the Chiefs. I also think DFS-wise, this is a great game to target. You're going to want to look at Darrell Williams, who's way too cheap over on DraftKings and FanDuel. You get exposure to a 56.5 total.
Real quick, what if Hilaire is back this week?
I mean, that would muddy it up, but I would have to, obviously I'd have to like read into the situation and hear how much he's going to get, but I don't understand why they would give him any work. Like at this point, I wouldn't want to give him a lot of work. I would just be like, hey, let's ride out Darrell right now. Maybe mix him in, but he's way too cheap for a running back playing in a 56.5 total. Zeke at 7.7 on DraftKings is interesting. If there's a game that's close, he is going to be more involved in the offense. I assume that he will be involved in this offense a ton. It also takes away you get exposure to Zeke instead of having to get exposure to like Lamb, Cooper, and Gallup and play that guessing game, which I don't mind that at all. And I think Zeke is, he's the alpha in this offense compared to Lamb and Cooper. So like getting exposure to Zeke in DFS. Travis Kelce's price is still pretty good. It's not like really expensive because he has not been as great and he can easily pop off for a good week. I like him. Tyree Kill versus Davonte Adams is going to be a debate throughout the week. Lean is going to the 56.5 total. And one of the reasons why my lean is going to this game over other games, sure, a lot of ownership is going to be on this game. I totally get that. But because it's a 425 game, I have the opportunity to make some pivots, right? I can pivot to the Seattle Seahawks and Arizona Cardinals game with a 48 total. I can pivot over to the Bengals and Raiders game, which is a 49.5 total. Let's say I play Tyree Kill and I feel like I'm behind. I need a lower owned guy. Jamar Chase is an easy pivot to go to who could have a massive ceiling game. So I like the pivots at the 4 o'clock games, which makes me want to kind of make my stack within the 4 o'clock range rather than the earlier one. So what I might do when I build out my tournament teams is maybe I'll look for some like lower owned running backs. Maybe I'll pull it, like if I pull up the slate right now and I'm looking at the running backs that could have some really good games at low ownership here. Obviously we know AJ Dillon's going to be owned. I'll probably play a lot of AJ Dillon, but I don't know, maybe I take a shot on like a DeAndre Swift, who people might not go to. And if he pops off and has a big game, well, and he's low owned, now I can easily play that chalk. If he doesn't, now I can pivot over to a lower owned, maybe Burrow, Chase, and Edwards or Zay Jones stack. So that's one way I think to take advantage of this Chiefs game and the ownership that is going to be on it. It's easier to eat that chalk once you've had some better plays at the 1 o'clock slot. On the opposite side, if you do like that Packers-Vikings game that we talked about before, because that's clearly probably the best stacking spot on the slate in the 1 o'clock window, maybe you play that and then you could eat some like cheaper chalk in that Chiefs game. Or if it doesn't work out well, you pivot over to some other guys like in the Cardinals and Seattle game that maybe are lower owned. So I think there's a lot of different ways to play this Chiefs and Cowboys game, but I think having that late swap flexibility matters a ton.
For me, I just wanted to say to Mangone, I understand where he's coming from. I think a lot of people are gonna lean the Chiefs in this game at home. For me, it was a power ratings grab. I have this game like Chiefs -1 at home. So to be able to get Dallas at 3, a team that's capable of hanging 40, I had to take the 3. It's just a no-brainer.
Okay, I kind of agree if you get the 3. I'm seeing 2.5. I guess that's probably why I'm thinking that. But also, I just want to know if Smith's in. I think that's like that's important to me. So it's hard for me to even like make a good read on it. I agree on like if the 3 is there, like, and you know Smith is in, like, I don't think you have a bad bet at all. I think you're on a good side there. It's obviously a nice spot to be at because, hey, if it does hit 3, you know, you're going to get that nice, nice push just in case on that key number of 3. You're kind of in good shape. Also, on the opposite side, Keg, we should talk about this. Let's say it goes, because typically it'll go further to the Chiefs side, right? You assume that's where it moves?
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah.
What if it got to like 1.5? Would you tease this for the Cowboys like over to 8.5?
Oh, yeah.
Or 7.5?
Yeah, and if you can get 2.5 right now, I'd be teasing that up to 8.5 and having them as one half foot teaser, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's worth like looking at some of these ones that are too, like the Packers. I was kind of thinking of asking you about it. Like, how do you handle that? That's in that 2.5 range. So watch the movement on that and figure out how to throw that in some teasers. I think that's a sharp way to get some exposure to betting.
I love that. I think that's a great look.
Yeah, I really love that too, because you get them to 8.5. We just talk about some of these other games that are going on. I mean, if you can get 8.5 with the Vikings, you get 8.5 on both those two teams. Feeling pretty good about it, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the Lions plus 17.5. I mean, I don't want to mess with the Lions, but still, you could tease them up. You could tease. There's a lot of teasing options there. And then the other thing I want to bring
up last week, though, at least.
What's that?
I said the Lions finally got us paid last week.
Finally. They still couldn't win. This is jabronis. And then the other thing would be I found Cowboys +3 on points bet, -115. That's where I found it. And the last thing concerning this game, such a big game, is Tyron Smith limited today. If he practices tomorrow, it's a good sign he's coming back Sunday. He's missed the last 2 games. That's John Machota. So one of their beat writers. So Mangone, obviously going to be very interested in that news. We'll all be interested in that news from a betting perspective. Okay, we still got some games to go here on picking winners. Bengals, Raiders, Cards, Seahawks, Eagles, Saints. Want to remind you, hit the like button down there. We want 7,000 by the end of this show. Most of you watch it on tape delay. And then the little red button down there if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. Check out the Run Pure Bets YouTube channel too. They just kill it. They got a ton of subscribers on that side as well. We'll stay here in the late window. Keg, you wanted to talk about the Bengals -1 at Las Vegas. The total here, anywhere between 49.5 and 50. You get a whole bunch of these numbers. And this is kind of what I thought was going to happen to the Raiders. They have this, kumbaya, we love everyone, Gruden thing. It comes together. They beat the Broncos. And then after that, it just goes to hell, right? Right now, it looks like it's gone to hell. That was a horrible performance. It was a horrible scheme. And I don't know how to back the Raiders at this point.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this game because I wanted the opinion of both of you guys, because I think this is a really intriguing game. Bengals coming in, they had the bye last week, could not have come at a better time for Cincinnati, right? But before the bye, week 8 and week 9, back-to-back awful performances against the Jets. Then they get crushed by the Browns. So, for this Bengals team, after winning 5 of the first 7 games, it's gut check time right now. I still think that this is an above average football team, but what concerns me is the defense is going in the wrong direction. They've given up 75 points the last 2 games. And that's really reminiscent of the Bengals team that we saw last season. So that defense needs to come to play off the bye this week. As far as the Raiders, I agree with you in general, Kush, what you just said. I thought that they played somewhat even with the Chiefs. I mean, with 12 minutes left in the third quarter, it was a field goal game. But at that point, the Chiefs just blew the doors off the Raiders for the majority of the second half. And I don't know now. I don't know what to make of this Raiders team now. I do think that Kansas City looks so good, and on their best day, there aren't many teams in this league that can beat them. So my power ratings going into week 11 have the Bengals 2 points better than the Raiders on a neutral field, which would basically make this game a pick. Maybe the Bengals minus a half point. With that said, I don't really see a ton of value on either side. As far as the total, I think both offenses are going to find success against how these defenses are playing right now. So 49 feels a little low to me. I could see them shooting off in this game. So I'll lean over, but I'm interested from a betting perspective, at least, to hear what the two of you think about this game.
What do you think there, Mangone?
I love the Bengals here. I mean, this is another one. I'm happy to tease this one up. Get the Bengals at what, 7 or 7.5. I think, getting through both those numbers.
That's the
sharp.
play.
And I just think the Bengals win outright. I know it's like a pick 'em, but I just think they're the better team. You also get them off of a bye week. You get the Raiders off of that game playing the Chiefs. On top of that, the Raiders are a team, I think, that you're going to see them. They've taken a lot of turmoil throughout the season, right? A lot has happened. I think they're just going to fold. I think you're going to see them over the next 4 or 5 weeks just really fall apart. I think they've played over their head for the early half of the year, and you're starting to kind of see it all. Just everything's just colliding at once, and I don't think it's going to end well for the Raiders here. I think they're going to team to bet against over the next 3-4 weeks, and I'm going to be on the Bengals. I still believe in them. I don't think they're just like this terrible team. I think they're a young team that when they went over and played the Jets, you know what happens? You feel good about yourself. I forget who they beat the week before, but they felt real good about themselves against the Ravens, I think, right? And had a bit of swagger. They're a young team. So I think that'll happen sometimes. They got a bit of a reality check. I'm in on the Bengals. I think they're going to, beat the Raiders here.
I tend to agree with that. I think I agree with that. What do you think?
So, yeah, here's my thoughts on this whole thing. First of all, getting bitch slapped the last 3 weeks with these games, these just bizarre wins, like the Bengals losing to the Jets, and we had the Jaguars beating the Bills. What was last week's debacle? What was it? Tampa Bay losing to Washington.
Oh, yes, the 40-minute drives for Washington.
Yeah, I want to come out and just say, this is going to happen. But gosh, maybe this wouldn't be a big upset, obviously, because the line is so tight. I just have a hard time thinking that the Raiders bounce back now after everything that's going on. I think they're in disarray. I think that after watching their defensive game plan last week, that's just asinine, and I wonder if that comes to play again. Mixon, all these skill position players coming off a bye for the Bengals. The Bengals, to me, are a playoff team. The Raiders are not, and I love that Mangone looked at the teasing option there, because if we want to tease the Cowboys and then tease the Bengals, I don't know about going from 1 to 7, but if we can find a 1.5 to 7.5, you'll take that, right?
Yeah. I'd agree. I mean, when it's at 1, I just figured, if you shop around, you could probably find something.
Absolutely.
It could move one way or another. Another thing to mention too is, like, I think Derek Carr is like a solid quarterback. I don't think he's like the elite, but we do know, like, Joe Burrow he's that guy, right? He is someone that if you were starting a franchise, he's probably like a top 5 pick right now over the next 10 years, or someone that you would want on your team as your quarterback. And like, I just think it's really nice to be able to get a guy like Joe Burrow as an underdog. If you can get Joe Burrow as an underdog over like the next like 10 years, I don't know. For the most part, I think I want to be on that side. So I think it's a good spot to be at. I really like the Bengals here.
All right, very good.
Oh yeah, and DFS wise, I should talk a little bit more. Like one thing, Keg, like Jamar Chase, like just play him, right? Like that very simple answer. Play him, move on, and just keep loading up on him every single week.
You know who's got
like that call apparently?
You know who's got more targets than Jamar Chase in the 7 games he's been healthy?
Who?
T. Higgins. And if that SOB ever finds the end zone, my God.
He is cheap. His price has not been adjusted. So he is going to be someone that I'm sure will be on the cash chart, Holden. I'm sure I will be considering him on a lot of my teams. He's definitely another good option at 5.4K. So I like that you brought that up.
He's getting you 17 to 20 if he can finally get in the end zone, man. Burrow just loves looking his way. Joe Mixon has to be, Joe Mixon this season. Look at what Joe Mixon's doing, guys. He scored in 5 of his last 6 games. To targets, he's getting 6, 5, and 5. He's just doing a little bit of everything. He's 7-6 on DraftKings, 7-6 on DK. So I don't mind at least looking at him there. My question in DFS, what do we want to do with Waller here? He's 6-1 on DK, 6-7 on FanDuel. Is this the week to go with him? Even in tournaments? Like, he could get a ton of volume, but do we want to pay up for him this week?
He's okay. I think the key with tight end is a lot of these 2K guys and 3K guys, they're getting priced up, and now they're at like the higher 3s, the lower 4s. So Waller is becoming more into play, I think. He's a better tournament play than a cash game play, and I don't mind him as a run back. He's definitely someone that I think you should consider. I think more people are going to gravitate towards Kelsey if they do spend up, so I do think Waller is a good play.
Okay, very good. We're done with that one, so let's move on to our next game. Before we do that, like button, please. Show us how much you love us. And then RPS Heater 25% off your first payment of a monthly installment. We got members winning nightly. Mangoma's just talking about the cash chart in NFL. Hoop does the playbook. You're getting all these guys' player pools, Big T, AP, JSU. You get the cores as well, and not just the main slate cores, early cores, late cores, primetimes cores, showdowns, everything. RPS Heater 25. Let's get to our next game. Kegger, Cardinals Seahawks. And while we don't know if Kyler Murray is going to play, he's back at practice. I don't want to assume that he's going to play, but I think we should pick a side when we're talking about this game, okay? So I'll get to you on that one. Cardinals minus 2.5 on the road. Wow, 48 is the total here. The Seahawks have not looked good. And if the Cardinals can get Murray back, would you trust them on the road laying 2.5?
Yeah, I think I would. The game last week, it's a complete throwaway game for the Cardinals. They ran off 7 of the first 8 when Murray was healthy. McCoy steps in. You're going to assume some kind of regression, and they went 1-1 with McCoy. You throw both those games out, and you judge this team on Murray status this week. It's as simple as that to me. I will say, though, against the Panthers last weekend, that Cardinals defense looked particularly bad. But I'm willing to throw that out and judge that defense on their overall body of work, which, Outsiders has them second best in defensive DVOA in the league after Buffalo. So it's a wait and see on Murray's status. Seattle, man, they looked so bad on offense last week. They could do nothing right at all. Like what we talked about earlier when we were breaking down the Packers. Just drive after drive after drive. They start at the 50. They could do nothing. I suppose you could chalk that up to Wilson being out for a month, but it's Russell Wilson. You would expect him to seamlessly enter back into this offense, wouldn't you? So, the defense also looked bad despite the final score. They only gave up 17, but this Seattle team looks every bit of the 3-6 football team that they are right now. Now, in terms of the marketplace this week, if Kyler Murray plays, I definitely lean the Cardinals. I understand it's on the road, but the Cardinals are a substantially better team than the Seattle Seahawks, in my opinion. Now, if Murray doesn't play, I'm probably off the side, even though if Murray doesn't play, I do think that there's a chance Seattle grabs a win at home against Colt McCoy. But if Murray doesn't play, I'm off the side. If he plays, I definitely lean the Cards. As far as the total, I lean under 49 here, whether Murray plays or not, because the Cardinals defense can be very good. We've seen it this year. And the Seattle offense hasn't looked good all year. So I'm going to lean under 49. I don't think there's a ton of value in 49 at that number, but I'm still going to lean under 49. If Murray plays, I lean the Cards.
I wonder where this line goes once they say Murray's playing, if he's playing.
Well, I could tell you, I think it's built in because the look-ahead line on November 14th was Seattle -1.
Ooh.
Now we're Cards -2.5. That's almost a 4-point move. I think it's pretty baked into the cake.
Okay, I like it. Anything we want to do here with this game? I don't know if this is a DFS game where I really want to play too much, Mangone. Metcalf always seems to be in the mix. James Conner, I guess if you want to go back to James Conner. If Murray plays, if Wilson will be out there too. From a DFS side, this doesn't excite me, but maybe you can put me on a player or two.
Yeah, so it does have a 48 total, Holden. So you kind of have to consider it. It is two teams that can obviously, put up points. I worry both these quarterbacks are playing hurt. We know Kyler Murray is. We know Russell Wilson. Sure, he might be back from the injury, but he rushed back. It's that injury is typically, I was like looking it up just now, some of the Twitter doctors say it's a 6 to 8 week injury, and he rushed back in 4 weeks. On top of that, he didn't take any snaps under center last week. They were all to the pistol and the gun. And it's like, okay, now you're eliminating parts of your playbook. If you're not going to be, going under center, sure, maybe he does this week. But I have concerns about Russell Wilson. His throws didn't look good. I mean, I just think that he is not healthy. I think you just bet the under here at 48 and move on. I don't really want to mess with this in DFS too much. Now, if I'm behind in DFS, would I maybe go to this game and put a stack on my lineups? Yeah, I think I'd consider it. Also, if you told me this game is a 1% owned stack, like if you tell me Russell Wilson's 1%, DK Metcalf is 5%, and like the run back is like 5% also, well, that's a little bit different because, again, I'm just telling you my opinion on what's going to happen. But if the percentage is low enough where there's enough equity that if it works out and no one's on it and I'm wrong, which certainly I could be wrong, then I get really rewarded for it, then I would want to get rewarded for it. So I want to see what the ownership is on this game. I lean the under, though. I don't love this one in DFS. I do think James Conner is a good option that you can go to. It is a road running back, which I'm not in love with, but I do think he is someone that's going to see a lot of the volume, and I think the Cardinals are going to be leading. That's just my lean on it. He's not one of the better running back plays on this slate, but James Conner definitely has really good touchdown equity when this Cardinals offense is moving, and if it is moving, he is going to definitely be heavily involved.
Okay, all right, so we're kind of on the same wavelength there. I don't like playing Kyler unless he's 90 to 100%. I don't know where he's going to be. You would think that if he was 90 to 100%, they'd be like, hey, he's going already. But they'll play it careful. And then with Russ, here's the only thing. I wonder if with Russ, we saw Rodgers come back and kind of have that, or Prescott come back and have that rusty game. Is it possible that Russ had a rusty game? Oh, he had a pin inserted though, so maybe I just answered my own question. Yeah, it's a stay away. Just stay away from it.
I like the under. I think I haven't bet it yet, but the more we're talking,
what do you think, Keg?
I said I lean under 49. So
you lean under. He likes under. Okay.
I'm gonna when we get off here, I'm gonna price shop, try to find the best under I can, and get a bet on it.
On the 49.
Yep.
I'm just looking real quick for you. Yeah. 49.5. I got a 49.5.
I'm hard pressed to see them get to 50, even if Murray plays.
49.5 FanDuel, 49.5 Bet Rivers.
Cool. I'm gonna bet the under on 49.5 right now and move on.
Okay, good. So we've already got 2 show bets. I love it. The next game, before we get to the Thursday night game and wrap things up here, you want to what? Talk about the Eagles and the Saints. This one's in Philly. Saints +1, or you can get them +1.5. Eagles 1 -1.5. So this run game has been spectacular. We might get Miles Sanders back. I don't know. Hurts, they've taken the ball out of his hands, and then they put it back in his hands this week. He hit Davonte Smith. I mean, he looked terrific against the Broncos, to be perfectly honest with you. He has made massive strides. Accuracy, I think part of that's the scheming, the game plan, keep the ball out of his hands. Maybe the total is the look here at 43 and a half, Keg. What do you have in this game? Because the Saints offense it's doing nothing for me. Absolutely nothing for me right now.
I'll tell you, man. And, the Saints have been a bit of a surprise to me this year. Season started.
You there, buddy?
The Saints would not make the playoffs.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you a little bit. Yeah, you're chopping up a little bit. You're fine.
I'm sorry. Can you?
Let's go to Mangone. We'll come back.
Better?
We'll hit it from a DFS side. Kegger, let's get you back on here in just a second. Okay. We're going to go to Mangone. This could be quick on the DFS side though.
That's the problem. You got me trying to talk about 43.5 total to stall for
no, but hold on a second.
Can you hear me now?
Now I got you. Yes. Go for it.
I got this Afghanistan internet connection, bro. It's just the worst. All right. So the Saints have been a bit of a surprise to me this year. I gave the Suggs the future. The Saints will not make the playoffs. And right now it's about a 50-50 coin flip based on their record on whether or not that's going to cash for us. I will say that Simeon has played better than I thought he would in the fill-in role at QB. And they played a very tough team last week in the Titans that have beaten 5 consecutive playoff teams from a year ago. And for the most part, the Saints hung in there for most of the game until the fourth quarter. But, I think the Saints you're not high on the offense. I think they have an average offense at best with an above average defense. And they've been in the majority of the games that they play this year, including most of their losses. Now, the Eagles, who looked awful for 7 weeks, seem to have found something with this running game. Sirianni finally realized that the less Hurts throws the football, the better shape that this offense is going to be in. And for 2 of the last 3 weeks, it's worked for this offense. I still think the defense is below average right now, but the Eagles do look like a better team than they were a month ago, as long as they stick to this run-heavy game plan. But the big issue that they're eventually going to run into is playing from behind down double-digit points. At that point, Hurts is going to be forced to go pass heavy, and that's when this team, in my opinion, is dead in the water. And the problem for the Eagles this week, they're playing the number 1 rush defense in football. So you have to think that they'll have a tough time being successful with this run-heavy scheme. And if that's the case, I think they're in trouble on Sunday. Now, my power rating says that this line should be Saints plus a half point. Right now, it's Saints plus 1. But if you factor in the scheme this week, I have to lean the Saints plus 1 because they have the best rush defense currently in football. Even though there's not a ton of value in the number, I'm still going to lean the Saints plus 1. As far as the total, it's hard. You can accidentally go over a 43 total. Yeah. So it's hard to take an under 43 unless you got the dead nut under. So I don't really have an opinion on the total because I think they can get over it by accident. But I'm going to lean the Saints because we know what Philly's going to do and we know how good the Saints are at stopping the run.
Okay. Mangone, yeah, we talked about this. Nothing. Maybe Hurts and cash.
Is Kamara out, or do we not know?
Huh?
We still don't know Kamara's status, right?
No, we don't know as today.
I mean, if Kamara's out, you can consider Ingram, but I don't want to mess with this game. I think this is a terrible game. 43.5 total. I'm pretty much out on this game.
Okay. Well, let's get to our next game then. Like button, everybody. Hit it, por favor. That'd be great. We got the Thursday night game. For those of you that are watching this before the Thursday night game, we'll talk about it for you. Patriots at the Falcons. I see Patriots -6.5. I do see a 7 out there if you were backing the Falcons. 47.5 is the total. So Thursday night football, I don't know what to make of this game, Keg. I'm probably, if I make any bets, they'd be player props. I don't like the side. I don't like the total. I don't know what to expect out of the Patriots on the road. And I don't know what to expect out of the Falcons at home, who were playing kind of decent football for a couple of games before they got blasted on Sunday. So talk to me about this one.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I think I found the nuts. Listen, Falcons are a bad football team, right? What happened to them last week against Dallas wasn't a surprise to me. They are what they are, a well below average football team, in my opinion. Now, the Patriots are getting better and better every week, and I hate to see it because I'm holding an under 9.5 wins ticket. And right now, it doesn't look good, but they're going to play Buffalo twice, which I hope helps me. Listen, it's far from dead, okay? But I don't feel great about it. All that being said, Pats, I have my PR 7.5 points better on a neutral, which would be like 5.5 on the road. So the PR said there's 1.5 of value on the Falcons in this game, but I can't back the Falcons. So I went a different route. Damian Harris anytime touchdown is currently -110, and I think that's a gift. He's got 6 touchdowns the last 5 games. He scored in every one of those games. He's tied for 4th in the league right now with 7 touchdowns. Belichick loves putting this kid in positions to get in the end zone, and I don't think that changes tomorrow against an inept Falcons defense. So give me Damian Harris anytime touchdown, -110. Good night. God bless.
I'm seeing it actually at +105, so I'm going to go do that one too.
There you go.
So, Keg, I mean, you are all full of Fanta on this show. That's a 2-bet show for Keg.
How about that?
I'm feeling sexy about this one now.
How about that? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. I mean, listen, the Patriots basically have Derrick Henry and Le'Veon Bell on the same team. I mean, Damian Harris is like Henry and Stevenson's like Le'Veon Bell. I mean, they absolutely just pound you on the ground and they crush you. And on a Thursday, Keg, just imagine you play on, you play on Sunday or whatever, and then you have to get back up and play on Thursday. The Falcons aren't off a bye, right? I mean, they played last Sunday. So it's just, that's going to be difficult to kind of tackle, right? Damian Harris and Stevens are going to kill him. Like, it's going to be a disaster. That offensive line, the Patriots gained, I forget who it is. I always forget the names of them, right? But they gained one of their offensive linemen back from week 1. I saw that on Sunday morning, and I was like, that's a big addition to get that. And I talked to my buddy who's a big Patriots fan, and he's like, yeah, that's going to be a big addition for them. They're going to pound the rock on the Browns, and that's what they did. I mean, their offensive line looks amazing. Also, the Falcons, they cannot run the ball. Like, they're just terrible at running the ball. I mean, they have to drop back and pass, and I think Belichick is just going to say, hey, I'm going to take away that run and, like, let you try and run the ball, and it's not going to work. Like, it's just, they're terrible. They don't get enough push. So I really think this Patriots team is going to just destroy them. I think they're really good, and I love the Damian Harris call. In DFS, I'm going to just, like, on the Thursday night slate, I don't know if it's going to be, like, too popular, but I'm just going to pound Stevenson and Harrison, like, all my lineups, I think. I'm just going to really just get exposure to both of them because I just think this Patriots team is your traditional ground and pound kind of team. And sure, it might be on the road, but I just don't care about it. I think this Patriots team is just that good. I definitely was sleeping on them early in the year, but offensive line play is, like, it's number 2 for me, right? Number 1 is their quarterback play, which Mac Jones' quarterback play has been pretty decent. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is offensive line, and this Patriots offensive line looks amazing. I think it's going to be an absolute disaster for this Falcons team.
Yeah, it was 43-3 Cowboys over the Falcons on Sunday. And now Cordero Patterson might not play, so Wayne Gallman could be in play in DFS too.
I think this is going to be a classic. So you might see that if Patterson doesn't play, the line might move a little bit more and get over that 7. I'd get it to 6.5 while you can. And then I also think the teasing right now is good, and you can even wait to do the tease if you like. But if you do it at 6.5, you just only have to tease at 6, and it's 0.5. This is a perfect big tee. You tease all your Thursday games, you get it to the Sunday ones, and you just kind of have a nice little sweat to get them all home, all the teasers. So I like getting the tease on this.
I basically agree with everything that Mangone just said. The only thing that kind of just stops me in my track, it's always hard for me to bet the road team on Thursday night.
But what about a Bill Belichick road team? Bill Belichick,
I mean, that's
one of the best guys. I actually saw a video on Twitter that was awesome. They showed Mac
Jones.
Mac Jones like interview in July, and he's like laughing, having a good time, and like he is trained to be a Patriot now. Like, we're just getting ready for this week. Eyes are on the Falcons. Like, just absolutely hilarious videos.
They're getting better. They're getting visibly better week to week, which is just terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Harrison Stevenson in January, like I think they're going to sneak into the playoffs and they're going to be pounding people on the ground. It's just going to be tough. Like
I really like that Damian Harris anytime touchdown a lot.
Oh, I already bet it. Yeah, I did 2 bets today. So what are your 2 plays before we leave? One more time. Damian Harris touchdown.
Taking the shot with the boys +3, and we're taking Damian Harris anytime touchdown to the bank. And Mangone, who I will join him on it, is on the under 49.5 in the Cards game. Let's go.
Okay, this is what I want you to do. You don't play Thursday night showdown. Maybe you'll do it. But pull up the.
I promise you on DraftKings, I will play a Thursday night showdown if you tell me what to bet.
I'm telling you, you like Harris, so pound Harris in the captain.
All right.
Pair it up with Stevenson, right? Like just put them both in there and play it like the Patriots like dominate on the ground, and both those guys are just running all over. And like people might not want to just put both in their lineup. They might only put one.
Here's the problem. You gave me like 2 out of 7 guys, and like I don't know what to do with the other 5 spots.
Well, now so I think you want to play 4 Patriots. I would go with 4 Patriots, and then like if you're gonna play both those running backs, like probably not play Mac Jones, because a lot of people are gonna play Mac, and you're just playing the script of that Mac doesn't really like score many touchdowns. Like maybe put Matt Ryan in there with like a receiver. I think that's like a good way to go about it. You could do Kyle Pitts. The question though is, will Bill Belichick take away Kyle Pitts? Maybe you go with one of those cheaper guys. You take a shot in like a Sharp or a Gage, and you're mainly playing them not because you think they're going to be like a receiver that goes for 100 yards, but they just get peppered with a bunch of targets because.
So if you put Harrison Stevenson in there, you're probably not going to play Mac Jones. You're going to run it back with Matt Ryan.
Yeah, because I think obviously because then you're playing the script that Matt Ryan is trailing and he's going to have to throw a bunch. Now, of course, it could end poorly, but it could also end poorly and like he gets you like he finds a way to get there like to 16, 17 fantasy points just in garbage time. Obviously, it's because he's going to have more dropbacks than if a Mac Jones is just handing the ball off all the time.
I'm in, bro. I'm playing it.
All right, so we made 3 bets today.
Where if for some reason Harris and Stevenson are on the winner, both of them are. Is there a chance Mac Jones is getting on that winning team? Of course there is, but it's more than likely that it's because Matt Ryan is dropping back and getting there and just passing it a ton. And if the Falcons put up 3 fantasy or 3 real life points like they did against the Cowboys, of course it'll be Mac Jones over Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan will be a total disaster, of course.
How about that, Kush? A little bonus Thursday showdown slate talk.
I mean, we usually talk it, but Mangone's just like full force coming out here and shoving it down people's throats, and I
just really, really like the Patriots and what they're doing. I mean, they're just leaning into their identity. They know who they are, and that's a recipe for success, man. And I know they're just going to keep doing it, and the Falcons are going to struggle.
By the way, Tim Boyle might be starting at quarterback this week for the Lions. So if you're looking at that line, I don't know, 11.5.
Is that why that line is 10?
It's not 10 anymore.
What is it now?
It's
11.5.
And the Browns defense will be very high owned.
It took it down 2 books, and now it's plus 11.5.
Jesus.
Yeah, and that thing's gonna get worse.
Who is Tim Boyle?
Stay away.
I don't even know who that is.
What do you mean you don't know who Tim Boyle is?
He's a former Packer.
Yeah, he was like the 3rd string quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, that's my bad for not knowing.
University of Connecticut great.
Oh, how could I not know him? A UConn alum.
Well, let me ask you something real quick. Can it get any worse than Jared Goff, though? I mean, seriously. I'm actually upset because no matter what the number was, I've just been betting Goff under passing yards. It's been working. So
I mean, no one wants to roster Jared Goff. He's terrible. So just
full disappointing.
It can't get worse.
All right, Simon, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Don't forget our Sunday schedule. Wake up 8:45 Eastern time for our live programming. Tambo, AP, JT get you started. Then it's the morning wood. We go right up to lock from 8:45 to 1 o'clock Eastern time. Then we got the wood with Hoop, Big T, and me. And then up to lock, the final countdown, a premium show with JSU, JJ from the bet side, and myself. And that's what we got going on. So stick around for that. The free shows, Mangone's on a lot of those in NBA. He does a lot of NBA work as well. And then Keg with the live shows Monday, Thursday, Sunday.
And Saturday.
And what time do you do Saturday?
It all depends on what time the UFC starts.
Mm-hmm.
But I will be live tomorrow night, 8 o'clock for the game. So looking forward to it.
Beautiful. All right, guys. And Simon, thank you very much for running the show. Hit the like button on your way out. Simon, please get us out of here.